So, chances are you're looking for a side hustle, you have a side hustle, or many side hustles, but what if one of those side hustles disappeared? Like you don't have the option to make money on that anymore. And that would especially hurt if, again, that's your only side hustle. Listen, I got my twin brother Matt here joining yet again. We're both coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Comment down below where you're watching this video from. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Happy to talk about this, and let's get into it.
We're excited to talk about it, folks, but maybe not excited of what might happen. Now, listen, this is not a doom and gloom video. This is a video to help you always prepare and to prepare to have different actual revenue streams, different options. Listen, what we're talking about today, again, appreciate Matt being here, is a article postings from Grubhub and really their parent company, Just Eat Takeaway, on talks that the company is really looking to sell. They're looking to sell their stake in Grubhub here in the United States. We can see here, shares tumbling at the time of filming this video, 19% to all-time lows. We had, I believe, the CEO of Just Eat Takeaway stating, hey, listen, we're trying to sell this thing. We're trying to get rid of it for maybe at least enough to cover, I believe, their $5 billion all share acquisition. So Matt, what happens if your side hustle that you're doing, it disappears? What should people be doing if you only have one side hustle?
Well, you should not be freaking out. You should definitely not be doing that because there are a lot of other alternatives. And while I know it's bad news potentially, again, this hasn't even happened yet. So I don't want anyone to just think that your revenue is going to take a dramatic hit, because we were talking about this whenever we were talking about Postmates going away. We were talking about this,
Yeah.
I remember, during the pandemic here in the United States and worldwide with the pandemic, and the demand just going through the roof because the only thing you could do was food delivery. Restaurants weren't open. And we were talking, what happens on the other side of this? What happens when things, quote unquote, get back to normal and everything opens up? Well,
Yep.
what happens is there's a lot more pressure on these food delivery companies with more competition than ever, with food prep companies taking some of that revenue. And look, now the pressure's on and Grubhub's feeling it, and they have a decision to make. So as drivers, what we need to do is think about pivoting and think about, well, I'm going to drive Grubhub until potentially what happened with Postmates happens and they get acquired. And who knows, maybe a company buys it and makes it better. It doesn't necessarily mean that all of your customers are going away.
Yeah, your point about pivoting, about having other options always, because listen, folks, this whole gig economy, I feel like, and comment this down below, Matt, you can maybe, this is the next question for you, but there has been so many kind of waves of hot apps. I was in San Diego years ago, folks, and I remember first driving for Shipt, now owned by Target. I was making like $40 an hour delivering like grocery orders. You and I, Matt, we first drove for rideshare companies here in Pittsburgh, 2015, 2016. You remember, comment down below if you're an OG. We were, texting each other like, dude, I'm making like 60 an hour tonight. And you remember, we're out there at holidays,
Oh, yes.
just freaking out, making 60, like 70 plus on like New Year's Eve and those big holidays. I remember, I can think of most every niche that I've done. And that respective niche has had a couple hot years. Right now, I think it's still DoorDash, the number one leader in the food delivery space. Grubhub's number 3. And their parent company, Just Eat Takeaway, is looking to sell. So you mentioned Postmates acquired by Uber. So what are some maybe good pivots? If someone's in food delivery, are they looking at starting a business, going e-commerce, going social, monetization? What's kind of the next move, if need be?
Yeah, so that's a good question because I was thinking about that. So what does this mean for you? What's your new strategy? How much money should you expect to make? Are you going to take a big hit? What's next? Well, think about this. The demand for food delivery shouldn't take a big hit in itself. So what I mean is the customers and the amount of people in your city and the restaurants that are offering food delivery shouldn't change. The only thing we're talking about right now is an app that is available to make money on those food deliveries. And this is just happens with more competition with Uber Eats and with DoorDash. It's going to squeeze some of the weaker performers out. But the amount of orders that are happening on a nightly basis, I would expect still to happen. So maybe we see new companies enter into the market. Maybe Grubhub gets acquired and just renames itself as a company we already know. I don't want you to think you have to abandon food delivery. That is my point. You're going to have to pivot and maybe do more orders and more multi-apping, and that's driving with more than one app open at the same time to see, okay, are less people using Grubhub? Because I've heard about this news, but I'm getting a little worried. Maybe I should take more DoorDash orders. And you start opening that app and seeing how popular that's getting, because they're all fighting for the same set amount of customers. Customers don't really change all that much. What has changed are the customers that are ordering food delivery through the apps. That's gone way up. So you need to figure out which app on food delivery makes me the most money.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. Firstly, folks, drop a like in this video if you appreciate Matt being here, talking about pivoting and really being one step ahead of the game here. And here's one of the comments I wanted to highlight here. It says, Just Eat Takeaway is, quote, actively exploring a strategic partnership and or sale of Grubhub in part or in a whole. I mean, the company said, it's something they're actively looking for. I know there's some back and forth and you can see that with their leadership team. Maybe that's a problem in and of itself, but you talked about possible red flags of slowdowns. And folks, if you drove on Postmates, I saw it. It's like, the pay was like worse and worse and worse. Probably, the pings or the order requests are slower over the weeks, over the months. No surprise to me that Postmates was acquired. It really was kind of dying out. Amazon restaurants, folks. If you didn't know, Amazon was in the food delivery space. And even Amazon, they closed their division of food delivery here. Let me ask you this. I've been doing a lot of parcel delivery recently. Inconvenience. Well, I think there's the big word. I've heard everyone emphasize convenience, which is like just that, folks. It's convenience items, like toiletries, stuff like convenience items, stuff like that. And it's been mentioned in Uber's and DoorDash's earnings calls, quarterly earnings calls that we stream here every quarter. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, folks. But are parcel and grocery platforms the next thing? Either seeing more of it on DoorDash, things like GoPuff, or like you mentioned, a new company coming up. And what's next?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. If you're thinking about what is my next big moneymaker, a good phrase that I like to live by or at least consider is current behaviors form future trends. So think about maybe some of the apps that you use more often or that you're just hearing more about. I know personally, I have ordered more and more often only because of convenience. Maybe you forgot to order something at the grocery store. I've been using GoPuff a lot more often. Maybe that kind of convenience store delivery takes off and you can make a lot of money, because you have to think about this. These companies, if they kind of smell blood in the water, if you will. So they're all competing for you to order through an app. And it might be an order from 7-Eleven, from GoPuff. It might be that convenience type of item. Now it's out of their warehouse. But they want the drivers. There's only so many amount of drivers out there. So if you're starting to hear or maybe use an app more often, I would kind of have my ear to the ground, if you will, and do a little research on it. Maybe ride a few shifts. And then based on the pay, if they're paying a lot of money, that's the next best thing, because they're going for drivers. They're trying to scale up the business because they need as many drivers as they can. So try different niches and see which one is paying more, again, in your specific city. You don't know how much they're going to pay in your city. We can give you all the advice in the world until you go out there and try it.
Matt just dropped some bombs there. Trying different niches. You don't know which pays best in your marketplace unless you try it. And folks, if you're like, hey, this dude says the same thing all the time. Listen, this is what works. It is what works. You literally won't know. And I've seen this. I've heard this from you. I meet other drivers out in my marketplace here, see your comments down below. It's like, I didn't know that this thing pays really well, or you don't know that this thing's actually costing you money because there's a better opportunity out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to add real quick. I mean, something that I didn't know is, well, I'm making plenty of money on Uber Eats. I'm not going to drive on DoorDash. I remember Mike telling that story on this channel. Well, you might be making money, but you might be losing out on even more money on a different app because you don't really feel like trying it. So that's why we say it, because we've lived it. I've lost money. I've missed out on big paychecks because I basically didn't want to branch out of what I was comfortable with the apps I was already on.
Yeah, folks, what do customers do when they're looking at different options? Well, let me ask you, Matt. So if you have a choice to order the same dish from DoorDash or Uber Eats, what determines which one you use?
I pick the one that I am most loyal to. The price doesn't matter at all. I'm a DoorDash customer through and through. You can charge me as much as you want. Nobody does that. We download every single app. We see which one is cheapest, because McDonald's is going to be on DoorDash. It's going to be on Uber Eats.
Those Uber airport runs. I mean, folks, what do you do when you go to the airport? I mean, you open up the Uber and then you open up the exactly. I mean, there's no loyalty per se to this stuff. It's for the customer basis, whatever's cheaper. And you should be doing the same thing as a driver, just kind of the inverse of that. Which one's paying me more, right? Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just tried and true. That's the reason we sound like a broken record. It works.
And folks, I'm going to leave you with this. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate you being here. This is all I do. I help you make money in different side hustles. Join the team. Subscribe down below. See a lot more from Matt as well. He's got a lot going on. He's busy like you. Got a family, got a job. So great different perspectives here. So when I'm in kind of my hustle mode, looking at different opportunities, I am always thinking what's next. I'm always thinking what's next. I've tried the GoPuff recently, as a new driver, Amazon Flex, getting back in a shift, Walmart Spark, and you mentioned, looking for the next best thing. I want to throw you a curveball. What about non-vehicle side hustles? This is really kind of picking my brain here. I need to ask this, where are all the non-vehicle side hustles? And believe me, there's a ton of them. I mean, there's Fiverr, there's, selling a product, course, or service. I mean, you can be a dog walker. You can be, again, a task rabbit, a tasker. Why aren't they more popular? I feel like there should be better the surveys. I mean, why aren't they more popular? I don't know.
It really comes down to what is the simplest for you or I or you watching to begin and make money on from day one. Because a lot of us, we need the money right now. I don't have 12 months to pay my bills or to pay off my debt or save up for whatever happens to be. And with food delivery and rideshare, I can make hundreds and hundreds of dollars, literally that much money on the side just by driving. I can get approved in the matter of a week or a few weeks and instantly make money. Now, there are other options for you, like you could be a YouTuber, like Mike, or like I do on the side as well. You can do, like Mike said, you can rent out your car on Turo.
Sure.
And that you're not doing anything. You're just renting your car. I've hosted on Airbnb before. Made $10,000 doing that. I've sold products on Amazon. It didn't have to leave my house. Well, except to ship the product to Amazon to be sold.
Sure.
So there's a lot of things that are more of a long-term approach. There's no magic bullet, guys. There's no, I'm going to go online for 5 hours and make $1,000 bucks. I mean, those days are long gone. This is the technology economy now. It's been available. And I mean, if there was a magic potion out there, we'd all be making a ton of money driving for a few hours a week.
Yeah, a magic a hustle, right? It's like there's no magic a hustle that'll magically make you like 50 an hour. I mean, there's hustles where you can do it, but there's different skill levels involved. Maybe a graphic designer, right? You can charge 15. And by the way, I mean, don't forget about that, folks. I mean, if you have certain skill sets, don't be afraid to charge, what you're worth. Always valuing your worth, your skill sets. Absolutely will be highlighted here on this channel is non-vehicle hustles, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace. We've done a video. My cousin Adam has a side hustle selling on Facebook Marketplace, things like that. So always great content here. I appreciate Matt being on the channel again. Thanks
Absolutely.
for being here. Folks, if you did get value in this video, definitely drop a like. Really does help out the video and the channel. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being a part of the team. Again, if you haven't, consider joining the team here. And you can also click or tap the screen here for my newest video, as well as a video recommended for you. And I'll see you in the next one.